Hi everyone. So today's a stressful day. We're up close and personal. I'm in the bathroom because today I'm cutting my hair. Yeah, I cut my own hair. Why do I cut my own hair? Well, there's a whole gamut of reasons why I do that. Because number one, economically speaking, my hair grows really quickly. I'm a pretty hairy dude. This is 6 weeks of growth for me. I have, I have a root going on. I also color my own hair. I'll show you how to do that later as well. But it grows fast. Preferably, I would go twice a month to have a haircut done. And I live in a city, and it's really expensive to get a good haircut here. I'm looking at probably around $50 each cut, and if I'm doing that twice a month, that's $100. On top of that, if I were to go and get my hair colored, I'd be spending hundreds of dollars a month for hair, and it's just hair to me. I really don't care all that much. Another thing is time. For me, I work for myself. I'm also an actor, so I go out for auditions semi-regularly, and I'm filming a YouTube channel on top of that. For me to book a haircut, it takes a lot of time out of my day, believe it or not. The hairstylist I had for years was fantastic. He lived too far away though, so it took me an hour in transit to get there, an hour back, and I spent an hour and a half there. So that's, what am I looking at? 3.5 hours out of my day. And lastly, I like learning new things. So just learning a new skill for me is fulfilling. I feel it boosts my confidence. I think of things and I'm like, oh, I wish I could do that. It looks so difficult. And then I research it, I watch other people do it, I get advice from people, and then I go and I do it myself and I realize, hey, you know what? It's not too bad. I think you can do this too. It isn't rocket science. I'm not saying that I'm a professional in any way either, or that you will be, or that everything will go so smoothly to start. It won't. It definitely won't. The first time that I cut my hair, it was May of this year. The clippers were in the closet for 2 years. I had asked my partner for a Christmas present I'm like, I would like to cut my hair. And he was like, okay, so he got me clippers. I freaked out because I was like, oh my God, they're actually in the house now. And then I put them away because I couldn't deal with it at that point. It was just not something that I could mentally do or try. When I took them out of the closet, I was actually cleaning out the linen closet, and then I found them, and I was like, oh right, I have these clippers that I'm not using. I should probably sell them. And I'm like, no, you know what, Salem, just calm down, drink a bottle and a half of wine, have a couple shots in a beer. And I did, and then I got enough courage, and then I went to the bathroom, and I said, I'm gonna cut my hair, and Adam was like, is that a good idea? And I'm like, of course it is, I'm fine, I feel really good right now. And I did. It was a weekday night, I think it was a Friday, so I had nowhere to go that weekend. We were just at home, so if the worst case scenario, I could have just went to a local hair cuttery and barber or whatever and go get it fixed if I really messed it up. But I didn't. And I actually have some pictures. I have pictures of the past 7 months of my haircuts. So here's a little montage of that. I'm not a colorist either, but I do my own color, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So let's talk about some of the tools that you may need to cut your own hair. I think these are pretty basic tools that you'll definitely need, but you might not. I don't know, you can improvise to do whatever you need. Do whatever you need to do. First of all, I'd like to talk about lighting. Lighting is really important. Normally, I don't have bright light in the bathroom. I don't need to wake up first thing in the morning and see all my flaws, like first, all this. This is a daylight LED bulb. Lighting is really important. I stress that. So if you have a dimmer bulb usually, put in a brighter bulb just so you get a really nice, clean, crisp lighting and you can see exactly what you're doing. You can see every hair, and that will help you out a lot. Another thing for cleanup, this, I'm not even going to the tools first. Think about cleanup. So I have the shower curtain already open, and I can easily get into the shower. I'm not wearing a shirt or pants, but you can't see that, so I feel quite confident, and I'm ready to go. So I can just get into a huge mess, hop right into the shower, and hose myself off. But in the time being, I don't want to create a lot of wet mess. I do have a vacuum right outside the door. It's plugged in, ready to go. I have the attachment that I'm going to use. All the hair from my head here is just going to fall on the floor. It's going to fall on my shoulders. It's going to get into the sink. It's going to go onto the toilet. It's going to get everywhere. So I have a rag here, a dry rag, and I'll just brush all the hair off of all the surfaces onto the floor, vacuum that up after. I have the hair clippers here. I'm just covering up the brand. I'm sure you'll see it, whatever. I'm not sponsored or endorsing anything. It's just, this is a pretty standard hair clipper. I don't know, mid-range for this brand. I think it was like $40 or something on sale. So originally it was $60, and my partner bought it on sale around Christmas time. I got it for $40, so it was a good deal. The only downside to this clipper, hair clipper, is that you have to keep it plugged in because it loses its charge fairly quickly, and only lasts like 40 minutes, I find, usually, which is more than enough time just to do the sides or the back. But if you're doing a more complicated fade, which I sometimes do, I don't know if I'm going to do that today, you definitely want to keep it charged and plugged in the whole time. The more expensive models will usually have a longer running time to use without the cord. So that's just something to keep in mind too. I wouldn't recommend buying the cheapest, like let's say a $20 model of hair clippers, because you want to make sure that the model that you're using has a strong enough motor where when you go into your head and you're trimming your hair, you might get, I've read reviews online. I love researching everything. So it'll get stuck in your hair. Again, my hair is fairly thick, so that I knew right from the start that probably wouldn't work for me. So try to go mid-range if you're planning on doing this yourself. Just step it up a little bit. That's enough about the trimmer. And of course it comes with all the guards. So I have all the guards right here on top of our garbage can. This is our little chest. I don't like garbage cans. I find them unattractive, so I use a box, and then I just put the garbage in here. We don't really put anything in there anyway, so that's it. Anyway, the guards are just right here. Today, for my hair, I think I'll be using a number 2, a 3, a 4, and I think this is a 6. A 6 guard. So those are the guards, and the rest I'll be cutting with scissors. I like to make sure I have everything lined up and set, ready to go, so that I can have a nice clean space. It's well lit. I have everything charged. I have all the tools I need laid out. I don't have to run around or scramble, so I can get done relatively efficiently. So here are my cutting shears. So I did buy these. Bought them online. They're only like $12. I think they were on sale too, regularly $15. I don't really know. They're decent quality. You can invest as much as you like into your cutting shears, but I do recommend buying a proper pair of hair cutting shears. They are very, very sharp. Even these ones are, so I would recommend just being careful as well, because especially if you're cutting short hair, and you're getting in there, you can clip yourself. I have clipped myself a couple times, not too bad, but it does hurt. Like these are pretty scary beasts of scissors. So I also have some thinning shears. This is what I use on my hair because it's pretty dense. I thin my hair out regularly because it's bulky and it sticks up, and if it also helps. It just takes away the bulk. So I'll focus in this area here as well as the back. Just makes it a little bit lighter, gives it a little bit more of texture. So when I'm styling my hair, I can do it quicker without, big clumps of hair everywhere. Anyway, but that's why I like to keep my hair relatively short, and I do it twice a month normally, but I grew it out so I could show you more of a transformation. So cutting shears, thinning shears, the hair clippers plugged in, and I have the guards out. I have a squirt bottle here as well because And I have it on like the little mist thing because when I get to cutting the top of my hair, I will be misting it because it's easier to cut wet hair with the cutting shear. I also have my regular beard trimmer here as well, and I'll show you why I'm using that later, or I can talk about it now too. When I'm doing the back, getting those little annoying back neck hairs here, I do this in between cuts all the time just because this grows pretty quickly, and I find that when I use the actual clipper with no guard on it, this is really sharp metal, and the motor is quite strong in here versus this motor. And this motor is perfectly fine too, but it's meant for lighter use, right? This one is sharp, it's quick, and it feels kind of rough on my neck, so I just use this with no guard on the lowest setting. That's what I do. Give yourself enough time. Don't rush a haircut. Don't cut your hair now and then go to a wedding. Don't have a big interview or first date or meet the parents or any other like event that's large like that. Do it when you have a little bit of downtime. Do it on your weekend or like the night before your weekend starts, so that if you have a couple hours just so that you can learn. Don't think that when you start cutting your hair for the first time that you're going to be a master at it, like, oh yeah, I've got this, it's just going to be exactly what I always wanted. It can be, but I think that you really need to give yourself or allot yourself that time. That's it. Here we go. I'm going to start with a 4. So this is a 12 millimeter hair guard. So I'm going to, I'm nervous now. I'm going to put the hair guard onto my hair trimmer here. So there we go. Normally I would do a 3, which is a 9 millimeter, and that's what I would normally do to go up to about here. This is where my natural hair part on the side would be, and this is a good thing to keep in mind too. So your face shape plays a huge part in how you might want to style your hair. And here's a little chart here on the most common types of face shapes. So let's take a look at that. Based on this, I determined that my face falls more into the oval shape face. Oval to oblong. So a little bit longer, but definitely more oval shape. Anyway, so if you look up online what hairstyles suit your face shape, figure that out first. What is your face shape? Then look up online. There's so many resources out there. That's what's so fantastic about the internets. And then determine what are your best options for haircut. And you can follow those guidelines or just disregard everything and cut your hair the way you want anyway. I like to look at that and then adapt to my own needs. You might need a comb too. I never use a comb, but I'll just show you a thing that might be helpful. It's a general rule here. You kind of go in your mid nostril area, and then you can determine where your natural part is. So that's my natural part here. I can't really see what I'm doing, but anyway, when I'm buzzing my hair, I will do this. I might wet this a little bit, but I'm not too worried. I'm going to take the trimmer and I'm going to go up fairly high with a larger guard setting, and then I might work my way down, do a fade sort of, to a 3 and then a 2 in my sideburn area. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to start. This is terrifying. Oh, and I have a mirror. Here. So that's my little setup here with the camera. Oh, that's me. I'm not wearing clothes. And that's the back of my head here. Another thing, if you've never done this before and you are unsure of what the clipper, how the guards look like in the length, go with a larger or higher setting on a clipper. Don't start with like the shortest one and have like a skin fade all the way up if that's not what you're looking for. So I am going to start with a 4 and then just start going up here. So I'm going to take it up pretty high to where my natural part here goes. So, whoa, here we go, right? Terrifying. Getting around the ears is always sort of difficult. This whole thing is difficult. I've never talked and filmed doing this before. I normally stop buzzing around this point because I'll need to use my mirror to go around the back because I can't really see what I'm doing. For the crown line, I think it's called crown line, I'm not too sure. The top of your head. So I'm going to start blending. I'll blend this all in with scissors after, and then maybe a smaller, a shorter guard or a longer guard. I don't know, I'll figure out after for this area. But I'll go around. So here's my natural part line, right? So anywhere around here, I'll leave a little bit longer. And I'll carry this, I'll use my finger, and I'll just see where, so I can go up until about here. That's where, the back and the top of my head meet. So I can do a fade back here, I can just shave it. We'll just keep shaving it, that's the line. So before I continue over here, you might notice that it is a little awkward when you're holding the mirror. If you have a three-way mirror, that way, with the little side flaps, you can see what you're doing. But I don't have that. Not a lot of people do in their bathrooms. You're just holding the clippers. You can actually use your non-dominant hand for this too. If you notice, I'm just using the same hand to do all the way around. You can kind of hack away at it, believe it or not. That's why there's a guard. It's the word itself is it's guarding you. You're not actually going to do a lot of damage unless you're holding it really weird or you're like pressing it really hard into your head. A technique that I do is that you just rock it. You rock it out a little bit. Rock it out. Ooh, so hip, so cool. You just go up, you rock it. Ooh. Don't talk and do this at the same time. So I'm just rocking it. Go up, rock it out. I'm not exactly sure what I'm wanting to do right now. I have used the 4. Normally I would do a 3 because I think I kind of want to do a little bit. I left a little bit longer than I normally would on the sides. And then I'm going to blend. I tend to style my hair pretty messy in this general area. So I usually have hair that comes down a little bit. And then I'll clean up all this area. I'll take this area in a bit shorter. So I'm going to start blending. Why I left the back looking super crazy like this is because I'm going to use a larger guard now and start trimming this area in the back to where the top here meets, because cutting the back with scissors is really difficult. For me at least it is. I can't see what I'm doing, so I like to use a guard up until about a point where I can start cutting it myself. So maybe up until about here I'll use a guard. So this was a 4. Now I'm going to use I'll try a 6 and see what happens. You would think maybe 5, I don't know. Okay, so now I'll do the side bits. So what I did there, essentially, was I just blended in the side part of it, the four guard, to the 6, up until where I can start cutting my hair myself with the scissors. Now mechanically, the clippers do a very mechanical, precise job with trimming your hair, which is great for the sides and the back where you meet the crown line up here. But I find that because the human head is not perfect, it's certainly not mine. Mine's all lumpy and bumpy, like in the back. I think I have this like little bit of a flat spot back here, and there's all sorts of things. Like you can see that the hair on this side lays down fairly flat, and it's good. And I use the same guards all the way on the same thing on both sides, right? Like, but this side always sticks up over here. And I've went over it quite a few times with the number 6 guard to blend it in, but it still isn't. It's just the natural way that my hair grows. It grows sticking out a little bit on this side. So I will be taking care of this with scissors, because that's, unless you're buzzing your hair off with clippers and it's super, super short, you'll still need to change the guard level a little bit on the top. And a barber will do the same thing. They'll fine tune they'll fit your hair to your head, right? So that's the difference, I think, between the professional haircut versus someone that just might quickly do it themselves. I think I'll show you how to do this little sideburn area. So I like to take the sideburn area just a little bit shorter. So I used a 4 on the sides, and I'll use a 2, no, not a 2. I'll use a 3 on the sideburn area because they grow really quickly anyway. So I'll use a 3, and I will just take care. And actually, because the temple area here is separate from the rest of your head anyway, so you can actually go a little bit shorter in this area as well. Just gives you a cleaner look if you're doing a short haircut. And now with my beard trimmer, like I said, it's a little sharper if you use the hair clippers. We're doing around the ear area. You can see, there's just little bits that are nearly impossible to get with the hair clippers. So I like to go in with my beard trimmer, which is just a little bit more friendly, and go around the ears. I'm trying to look at. Go really slow when you're doing this, because you don't want to go up too high. Oh, I cut myself a little bit. These things happen. That's okay. I'm just so tender. Oh, and the back of your neck. So to take the beard trimmer, or if you want to use the hair clippers, you can do that too. The back of the neck. So there are quite a few different ways that you could do this. Some people like to cut, square, or they'll angle their hairline in the back here. So I kind of have these ducktails that grow down. So 1, 2, 3, and they grow down pretty low. So I like to keep my hairline fairly natural. It's going to grow out really quickly anyway. So the only thing that I really do, sometimes I'll alter the line, and I'll get rid of this area up to here, or I'll maybe square it off up to here. This does take a little bit of getting used to, and if you have somebody around that maybe could do the back of your neck for you, that would be cool. But you can also just take your time. This is where the time thing really you need to set aside, because you can do it. I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit. This is my 3 guard. Yep. So what I'm going to do now that I've reviewed the back of my head is I might want to just take the 3 and do a little bit of a blend. So when you're doing a fade, I'm not going to do like a really elaborate fade where I'm going to do a number of guards on the side, but there's there's three areas that you separate when you're doing a fade. So the first line is where your ear and your sideburn meets up. So this is area number 1, and then area number 2 for you to blend if you're doing a more of an extreme fade is your top of your sideburn ear area to your temple line. So this chunk right here is 2. So 1, 2, and then where your temple and then the top of your head, your crown of your head basically meets is the third layer. So I've already done a 6 up here, and I've done a 4 over here to blend in the 6 and the 4, because I'm going to cut it with scissors as well. I'm going to try that. And I have 4, and then I've done a 3 in my sideburn area. I think I'm just going to use the 3 and just to go around the ear area, just so it's a little bit tighter. I've gone around with the beard trimmer and done that area, but just in the back too, I think I want to just keep it a little bit tighter. I'm going to do that. I just feel a little bit fancier. It's just a little bit of a distinguishing line feature. If you notice, I didn't go very high with the 3 guard. I essentially just followed a line around here, scooped it down a little bit, because you can see I have like a bit of a divot here in my head anyway. I'm just following the lines of my head shape, really. Going around here, one up here. If I wanted to do another, so this is a 3, a 4, a 5. So if I want to go even shorter, I would take this area down to a 5, but I'm blending it in the top of my head, so I want a little bit longer. So anyway, that's something you can play with. You can play with the different guards and see what works best for you. I took that 6 guard up until about here, so now I can start cutting my hair as I see fit. So I'm gonna take my mist this, okay, just saturate my hair a little bit. Okay, so with layers, so you want to go from the back to the front, or at least that's what I do. I think it makes sense because I'm going to be taking the back and these little side parts that are sticking up quite extremely. You know, you can see that sticking up versus this side. I'll be cutting this shorter and then building up the length as I get to the top part, because I like easy to style hair. So if my hair is shorter in the back and sides and up until around here, that means that all I really have to style, even if I'm not looking with my dark mirror, with my dark lighting and everything, I can just go like this and my hair looks like it's stylish, maybe. I don't know. So here we go. You can use a comb if you like for this part. I recommend trying to do sections. That awkward sticky uppy area. All right. It's really fine tuning, you know. All right. So for this, I actually just end up using my fingers a lot, holding the hair up, and then just taking off a little bit at a time. You're just going straight across, really. I don't know if you can see that. You can. Working with the short hair and the scissors is, of course, a little more difficult, but I still recommend going in with the scissors to do this, even for the shortest part in the back, just because of those transition lines. You're going to get a much more of a professional end result. I just want to do just a little bit because I'm building up the length as I get to the top part, right? So I know this looks pretty crazy, I think, but it seems to work for me. You can brush it right back. I never brush my hair straight back like this, but it's a good opportunity to see how your levels are, just to make sure everything is kind of uniform on both sides, which can be hard to tell at first. And your hairstylist will have a hard time all the same with this, making sure that everything is the same on both sides. But that's a learning curve. You can learn. It takes longer doing this in these little sections, but it's worth it because you're adding some texture to your hair as you go about this, versus just randomly chunking away at it. So if you have a hard time doing these layers, a good option that you can do to add a little bit more texture and to kind of correct your transition lines is to use thinning shears. So if your hair is thinner, I wouldn't recommend going to town with thinning shears or using them at all, because you do want some sort of, some volume to your hair. I can afford to lose a bit of volume because there's just too much. So I go in with the thinning shears. What this does, it doesn't take the hair out of your scalp. All the thinning shears are going to do is go in about halfway and take away some of the volume. So in these areas here that are quite voluminous, it just takes away that added bulk. And I'll go in on the sides and the back here too. So another thing you can do to add a little bit more texture to your hair, I do this in the front for the most part, is I will use my comb. I will take a section and I will go in with my cutting shears and just clip in, and I will just cut little teeth marks, kind of go in there and chunk away at the hair. Oops, I'm trying to show you a better showing here, but I don't know if you can really see what I'm doing. This is just adding another texture to my hair. Just got those random hairs cut that you may have missed. Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, you could just keep doing this forever and end up with no hair. So you have to find a stopping point as well. If you're really unhappy with it after you rinse your hair off and you blow dry it, you style, whatever it is, however it is you style your hair, if you're not happy with an area, you're at home and you're cutting your own hair. So it's really cool to be able to just tweak it, tweak your hair. You can not tweak, I shouldn't say tweak, but just fine tune your hair after and clip away areas you don't really like. That's it. I'm gonna shower, and in my next video I'm gonna show you how I do my eyebrows. So we'll see you again.